Since I've come all the way to another country, I should probably spend some time exploring it, shouldn't I? I left the hostel and took off down a street, unsure of where I was going, but not really caring. I did this often when I lived in New York, just wander. Usually I found an interesting shop, or at least ended up with a story to tell. Now, though, I felt completely confused. The streets of London were both very different and not different at all. The air was thinner and it felt better to breathe. When I signed up for this program, I was warned that most Americans would get sick in the first 2 weeks of living in London because of the air pollution, the London smog. Coming from New York City, though, it didn't bother me a bit. I kept noticing the architecture. The older style of buildings reminded me so much of home, but these buildings were cleaner and clearly older. The walkways were broad and clear, and in the business districts, giant plazas filled with people in business suits and sharp English accents. Everything was so similar, but so different. I felt like I was walking through plastic, not really connected to anything I was seeing. In no time, I felt exhausted. I hadn't walked too far, but maybe the stimulation was too much. Or maybe I was still jet-lagged. I collapsed into a cafe seat near the park. Hopefully the owner wouldn't mind too much that I was mooching. They probably got people like me all the time, so I hope they were used to it. As I rubbed my sore neck, something caught my eye. A young Asian woman with short black hair and thick-rimmed glasses stood over a canvas, muttering under her breath. At least I think it was supposed to be under her breath, but I could hear her from here. Supposed to capture the light if it keeps moving. I didn't think it would be so... She seemed frustrated about her painting. I tilted my head a bit to catch more of a glimpse of what she was talking to. Okay, so this is the Angelo counterpart. It was a stylized landscape of the park, I think. I tilted my head the other way. No, it was a realistic watercolor. Wasn't it? What was she trying to do? Curious, I got up and sidled over to her, hoping I didn't seem too creepy. It didn't make any better sense from this angle, but from the looks of the woman, she was an artist. She had that whole bohemian thing that suggested that for her. It was all about the flow of things. Man. I glanced at her again, and accidentally made eye contact. What do you think? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be rude, I just wanted a better look. I was curious. What do you think? It looks... good? I'm a little... What are you trying for here? I wanted to capture the landscape as I see it. What does that mean? From your perspective, or... Well, yes, from my perspective. Not point of view. Not specific location. Well, I mean, yes, a specific location. But also, my perspective. Okay. She had a foreign accent of some sort, but that wasn't the reason that I found her words a bit hard to follow. Actually, there was something familiar about her voice, but I couldn't quite... What do you feel when you look at this? Confused? Well, we'd never actually tell her that. It seems like a little morose and a little... Maybe do you have a lot on your mind? Maybe, do you have a lot on your mind? It seems like you're looking for something, but not really finding it. That's how I'd put it, I think. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. You didn't insult me. Her tone of voice... You didn't insult me. Her tone of voice suggested otherwise, though. She was silent for a bit as I continued to feign interest in her canvas. At this point, the conversation was awkward. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible, but couldn't really think of a way to get going. What should I do? This is why I never talk to strangers. It's cool. I looked up, startled. I mean, not everybody gets art, you know. Everybody's got their own place. We all got our own paths, man. I nodded. What happened? Why did her glasses glint like that? I nodded slowly. Her demeanor seemed to have changed, but I didn't quite know how to feel about it. I'm Jihyo, by the way. If you couldn't tell, I'm not from around here. Ah, she's Korean. That's why her voice reminded me a little of Jin-soo. I'm Flynn. Me neither. I'm from New York, and I'm staying in a hostel a few blocks away. Are you? I am too. Mine's called The One. It's decent enough. It does what I need it to do. Wait, The One? But that's where I'm staying. How come I haven't seen this girl yet? I've been there for almost a week, or maybe more than a week. Is it? Why haven't I seen you around? I've been there for a few days already, and I haven't seen you eating with us. Oh, I've been busy sketching and trying to scout the perfect location. You know, art never sleeps. When I get that drive, I just have to go out and start painting. How long have you been doing art? It's hard for me to figure that out. At long time, as long as I can remember. Off and on, I guess. I didn't start seriously pursuing it until a few years ago. That's pretty cool. Yeah, man, cool. Super cool, yo. There it was again. What was that weird tone? Anyways, I'm gonna be heading back now. The, lighting shifted, so I might as well just go work on it at the hostel. Let me come with you. Sure, if you say so. I watched her pack up her massive array of paints, brushes, easel, and canvas into a black bag nearly as big as she was. The only time I've ever seen people with bags like those was in the movies, so I was kind of surprised. The hostel was only a few blocks away, so we made it in a little under 5 minutes, making fairly polite conversation. Well, it was nice to meet you, Flynn. Maybe I'll see you around some more. She left before I could think of something better than to say then, yeah. As I headed for the bathroom, I realized how hard my heart was pounding. I had just sustained an entire conversation with a stranger in London, and even made a new friend. What a good day. Nice. The nice thing about living in a hostel was that, despite the thin walls, it was often perfectly silent. People were often working or at school, so it was easy to find peace and quiet. It was quiet enough to hear the birds outside my window, the wind howling through the cracks in the wood, quiet enough to hear the footsteps in the hallway. Rapid, heavy footsteps, like someone was on a mission. A relentless pounding beat on my door, and in the time it took me to stand up to from my desk and across the room, it grew several decibels louder. Oh, it's Peggy. I pulled open the door to find Peggy on the other end, eyes electric. Flynn! I need your help. Sign my petition, please. Peggy always needs our help. What? See, our uni is far behind the times as far as the green movement goes. You'd think that a place of intellectualism and education would be concerned about the future of the world, the future of its very patrons, but no. No, it's left to those of us with common sense, desire, and passion to find a way to get our world out of this ridiculous predicament it's in. Our way of life is totally unsustainable. There's no way we'll be living like we do now in 30 years. Right now we're pumping out cheap clothes just to throw them away in a year. We're stripping the soil of nutrients to grow food that we mostly waste. If we go on like this, nothing will grow, and the sea rise will drown the coastlines, and we'll have to eat nothing but insects. And you can bet your bollocks will be sorry that nobody invested in clean energy and we ended up running out of fossil fuels. She started speaking faster and faster, and I simply tuned her out, instead of watching the dynamic expression on her face. She didn't seem to have any idea what she looked like when she spoke, her eyes getting wider and smaller, her mouth flying this way and that, the occasional chunk of spit flying from her mouth. Wow, that's a great description. Finally, instead of gesturing dramatically at the walls, she began to make eye contact with me again, and I turned back in. That was really descriptive, especially, for when you're in a visual novel, at least for this, their image is stationary, it doesn't move. So it's nice to have that imagery of her while she's talking. Even the smallest of actions, if made in a concerted effort by multiple individuals on a daily basis, should be able to help. It's easy to say it won't make a bloody dent, but that's a load of rubbish. If everyone said something that what they did, what they will complain about, even if they just go off for their arses and vote for change, the world would end up being a much better place. What was it that Cassandra said? Some people will just stand in the fire and complain that it's hot. Yeah. So will you sign my petition? Or I get a bit lost in the middle there. What's the petition for? I want the university to commit to using more renewable energy sources. London completely ignores solar power because of cramped roof spaces and power weather, but we have big buildings and we can make it work. All that information just for a solar panel petition? Please, please, please sign it. I know you're the kind of person who believes in changing the future. Well, I am. Nobody else has signed it, so... She looked so sad saying it that I couldn't help but take pity on her. Sure, I'll sign. Again, that should have been a dialogue choice. I feel like most people would sign it, but again, that should have been a choice. Yes, get in! The way she was dancing around and punching the air, you'd think she had entered a gladiatorial arena and managed to make it out alive. Do you think you might do me another favor? That depends a bit on the favor. Would you help me get signatures from everyone here? For some reason I can't seem to sit anyone down long enough to talk to them. Oh, I knew the reason. I didn't want to bother anybody, but this kind of thing, they definitely wouldn't like it, but it would make Peggy happy if I did. Sure, I'll help. Flynn, you are tops. You're the very best person I haven't ever met in my life, ever. Take this. She miraculously materialized an additional clipboard and pencil from God only knows where and handed them to me. If you can just get Angelo and marked, everything will be fine. I can handle the rest. They're too nice to say no. She gave me a light tap on my head, which required her to stand on her tiptoes and sauntered off towards Danny's room. So it was up to me. I found Mark first. I was surprised that Peggy didn't want to talk to him herself, but at the same time it made sense. He was a nice guy, but it was probably easy for him to come off as creepy, especially towards women. In any case, it took only a few minutes of explaining the purpose of the petition for Mark to point out every flaw in Peggy's plan, from funding to the disruption that construction could cause, to the fact that the university already had a carbon-neutral goal statement. Regardless, I admire her spunk. I'll sign. With one signature down, I moved on to Angelo, who I found sprawled across the couch in the living room, a magazine on his face. Angelo? What? What has happened? Oh, it's just you. That was an intense reaction. Yeah, well, what did you want? I began to explain the purpose of the petition, but Angelo raised his hands as if physically pushing me out of his head. Nope. I'm not going to fall for any of that tree hugger BS. You can find someone else to bother about with that, eh? And he turned on his heel and left the room. Well, 1 for 2 wasn't bad, right? You can try another one. I caught up with Peggy later to deliver my results. So, how many signatures did you need anyway? I was going for 5,000. 5,000? Well, I'm not sure how possible that is anymore, so... No, I won't give up. I can't. The future of this beautiful Earth, the future of all our lives depends on this. Thank you so much again for your help, Flynn. I'm glad you're willing to actually look at what's wrong with the world instead of ignoring it like most everybody else does. She grabbed my hands and shook them warmly. I felt a blush coming on and pulled them awkwardly away. It was the least I could do. Good on you, Peggy. Best of luck. No luck needed. I've got drive, will, and vision. What else do I need? And she disappeared down the hall. I began to wonder, what else really did she need? That girl could power 3 jet planes on a will alone. Nice. Oh, the library. This is probably where we're going to find Mark. The university library was a little less friendly than the ones I'd usually seen in America. Back home, even high school students could visit a campus library to take notes and check references. Although they need special permission to check anything out, I had done papers for history class that way. Here, the whole library was behind a security gate that needed a university ID card to get through. There were multiple lanes of in-out traffic, like on the underground, but it could still make an awful bottleneck at a busy time of day. I had vaguely heard about a scandal where a guy stole rare old books from a British library to sell at an online auction. Maybe that was why they were so tight on security. Didn't Mark say he hung out here a lot? Maybe I should try to find him. What section should I look in? Well, I don't think that he's going to be in biology, but I do know that Danny is a biology major, so I'm going to go to biology, because maybe Danny's there. I looked around the biology section and spotted Danny sitting at a table. Ha! See? I remembered. You take note of these things. These are important when you meet somebody that you like. He looked really busy with his studies, though. Better not bother him. I should just find my books and go. Okay. Flynn, looks like you're serving table 5. Brennan pointed out to the largest table in the bar, filled with 10 loud and clearly obnoxious teenagers. Have fun! I glared at him and he laughed. What did I ever do to him? Him getting in trouble was his own fault. Oh well, someone had to do it after all. As I entered the hostel common room, I spotted Jihyo inside. She had told me she was living here, but it was the first time I'd actually run into her, so to speak. I might have expected an artist to relax on one of the colorful beanbags, but she was perched on the sofa, leaning forward like a student trying to memorize the notes on a board. Coming closer, I realized she had a sketch pad in her lap. She must have been working on something. Is it alright if I watch TV? What? Sorry to disturb you. I'm not disturbed. No, not disturbed. So, do you mind if I turn the TV on then? It's fine. She didn't look like she was going to be fine with it. I took a seat, not too close, and turned on the set, though I kept the sound low. I snuck a peek or two at Jihyo, just to be sure I wasn't bothering her, but her attention seemed completely focused on the paper in front of her. She must be good at turning out the rest of the world. Thinking that, I relaxed and watched my show. BBC programs didn't have commercial breaks, exactly, but they did run a few promotions for other shows between time slots. I leaned back to yawn and caught Jihyo staring right at me. What? Did I do something strange? No, I Sometimes I stare into space when I'm thinking. Oh, I've done that. I didn't mean to make her feel awkward. So, what are you working on? A study. Something you're studying for class? No, a study. A preparation, planning for a painting. Oh, I see. What are you going to paint? I don't know. She stood up. Like, the ideas just come to me, you know? You dig? Right. You can't control where the inspiration goes, yo. Sorry. I see. She, like, has a little bit of a split personality thing when her eyeglasses glow like that. She picked up her sketch pad and left the room. I hope I hadn't upset her, but I found her a bit hard to understand. I was resting in the living room after a long day of work, hand over my eyes when I heard a heavy sigh and someone plopped onto the cushion next to me. Work is horrible, isn't it? I lifted my hand. Aussie was next to me, a weary smile on her face. Yeah, that's probably why it's called work. Not much we can do about it. I didn't feel much like talking and thought my reply would ward her off, but instead she giggled. You must be quite disciplined. With an attitude like that, I should learn from you, but I'm too impatient. I nodded, unsure of what to say in response. How was your work today? Your work day? Brendan giving you a hard time? I glanced at her in surprise. Had Ashley told her? I tried to keep it quiet, but I didn't want to start trouble in the hostel. There were enough of us with that a little bit of friction could set a fire ablaze. Oh, I know Brendan pretty well. Plus, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to put two and two together. As soon as I saw the looks he was giving you, I knew you were on his list. Is this a common thing? I wouldn't say common. It's not easy to make Brendan feel insecure, but somehow you managed to do it. Wait, insecure? I thought he was mad because I almost cost him his job. No, he almost cost him his job. He knows that just as much as you do. But it bothers him to see how easily people here have taken to you. You're not best friends with everyone, but they're comfortable around you. It's not the case for him, abrasive as he can be. Yeah, well, he just needs to learn to be a little bit nicer to people. Oh, I didn't think about it that way. He's not a bad guy. He's just kind of a... Don't let him get to you. And if you ever want to talk about it, you can always vent to me. My lips are sealed. Getting a little bit of Wolf Among Us in there. Well, thank you, Aussie. To be honest, it was weighing on me. I didn't want to tell anyone, but dealing with it every day in silence was getting rough. I figured, everyone needs someone they can talk to. Someone they can rely on, you know? Yes, like Danny. I hope I can be that person for you. Or Danny. Thank you. And if you never need to talk, I'm here for you too. Thanks, Flynn. Honestly, you're so sweet. It's no wonder everyone likes you. It's hard to find guys who are genuinely nice, like Danny, without wanting anything from you, if you know what I mean. I'm glad you came to this hostel. I needed to meet someone like you. I'm glad I could help, Aussie. Anyways, I'm going to relax. I'll see you around, Flynn. I hope so. I watched Aussie get up and leave the room, her hips gently swaying. My first impression of Aussie was that she was just a shallow party girl. What with the giant earrings, the style of her makeup, her clothes, and the way she held herself. But maybe I was wrong. Or maybe that wasn't everything there was to her. She seemed to be a genuinely nice person, and very observant. You know, very intuitive with whole Brendan thing. Also, you have to admit, she was hot. She was completely out of my league. A girl like that usually went for successful athletes or movie stars, like Brendan. But I wouldn't mind spending more time with her. But not as much time as Danny. After all, you never know. Oh, cool. Hey guys, Peggy, Danny, Angela, and I were all eating lunch in the dining room when James loped through the doorway. You four, the front garden is a mess. Are you just gonna leave it like that? Pardon? I hadn't seen a garden anywhere around here. It took me a moment to work out that he meant the yard. That's not a responsibility, is it now? Yes, it is. I want it clean by tonight, or I'm throwing you out of your rooms. With that, he left. He can't be serious. He's not serious, right? You all have been here as long as I have. This is my second year. I'm sad to say he's done much worse. So immediately after eating, we discarded our plans for the day and went to the front yard. Despite the fact that it was in the middle of winter, scraggly weeds were visibly growing over the flower beds and clumping up here and there in the grass. I stared at them, unsure of what to do. I didn't really have a yard back in New York. Danny shrugged, got down on his knees, and started pulling plants out of the ground. After a second, the other two went to different areas of the lawn and followed suit. I wasn't really confident enough to do it on my own. Who should I join? Like there's even a question. I kneeled down next to Danny and grabbed the first plant I saw. Whoa, not that one. That's a flower on the way, see? He grabbed the stalk of the plant and lowered it towards me. Tiny white bulbs clung to its end. Oh, I'm sorry. You're fine. Here, come take my place. I'll find other ones. I shifted into his position, brushing against his arm as I did so. Oh, Danny, you're ripped. Huh, of course I am. You can't do sports all day without getting a bit of muscle, right? You're smart, fit, cute, and reliable. Come on, there must be something wrong with you. That was what I was trying to think. I grinned, but Danny's smile faltered. I'm sorry, Oh, there's plenty wrong with me, no worries. But really, we should be weeding. I thought that said wedding. We should be wedding. It's like, whoa, Danny, wow. We should be weeding, let's go. There was a note of finality to what he said, so I nodded and got to work. Hours later, we sat exhausted on the front walkway, wiping sweat from our brows. James came around the front, sipping from an orange drink in his hand. He glanced around the yard and nodded. It'll do. The alcohol in his breath almost stung my eyes. He jerked his head and we moved out of his way so he could get into the hostel. I ate that guy. Somehow as a collective we sighed. You're not the only one. I came into the kitchen slightly late that evening, planning to just grab a quick sandwich or something before bed. The air was filled with the scent of tomatoes and spices. It reminded me of the time a family in my apartment building back home had made spaghetti and you could smell it all the way down the hall. Except the apartment smell had only been marginally better than a school cafeteria, and this one was downright delicious. With that in mind, I was only a slight surprise to see Angela was the one in the kitchen today, not Ashley. Hey, that smells amazing. What? Oh, I am not amazing. My mama, she is amazing. Well, you're still a way better chef than I'll ever be. If you never try to learn, that's a guarantee. But no fear, someday you'll have a wife to cook for you, yes? I don't know about that. Danny was right. I mean, why does the wife have to cook for me? I mean, why is it... the women don't have to belong in the kitchen. Men can belong in the kitchen too. Danny was right. He did have some strange views, and it didn't look like he was going to invite me to share his food. At least he was friendly enough to sit with me while I ate my sandwich, but it seemed pretty pathetic in comparison. I really needed to learn to cook. Yeah, you should, Flynn. Cooking is a very good skill to hone in. What a rough day. I was in the pub that evening, rolling out my neck and musing over how surprisingly difficult it was spending so much time with Brendan in close quarters. Normally my own workplace wouldn't be much fun to hang out in, but Brendan had already gone back to the hostel, so if I went there I might run into him again. That guy is going to be the end of me, I just know it. A glass was set down by my elbow. I looked up to see a smiling Ashley. A White Russian on the house? Sweet, I keep forgetting I'm allowed to drink here. What's in this? Is it real alcoholic? Vodka, coffee liqueur, and cream. Just make sure to go slowly on it, okay? I don't know what your tolerance is. It's not crazy high. I usually only drink beer or wine that other people have brought to parties. Then drink one and see how you feel. You might be able to have another. She glanced around and leaned in closer to me. But be careful, they're a bit pricey. Don't tell anyone I gave you this. You know what, at some establishments, the staff aren't allowed to come to the bar as customers at all, to make sure they don't get special treatment. Should we be doing this? Oh, I'm sure it's fine. It's just this once, right? Right. With someone as nice as Ashley behind the bar, I can see how it would be easy to take advantage. I took a straw from a basket on the bar surface and stuck it in the drink. Wow, this is delicious. White Russians are pretty good, I have to admit. They do hide the alcohol flavor well for me. Uh-huh. Ashley walked away looking horrified for some reason. The White Russian was cold and sweet and creamy. Essentially it was candy, and I downed it in a few minutes. Yeah, I like that. Hey Ashley, can I get another one? You already done? Yeah, I am. I feel fine, so another one won't mess me up too bad. Yeah, those are gonna getcha. If you're sure. She went around preparing another, and as she did, I began to feel a little bit lightheaded. Guess I was feeling it more than I thought. Ashley put the drink in front of me, and I handed her a 10-pound note. Keep the change. Geez, thank you. No problem. Now I have a question. I put the straw in the second cup and started drinking it too. It tasted slightly different though, much sweeter. There was probably less alcohol in this one, which was probably for the best. Still, it was enough to loosen my tongue. I wanted to know what happened with you and Brendan. Oh, really? Ashley froze. Oh god, I'm sorry. Is it really that bad? I totally shouldn't have asked. I'm super sorry. No, it's fine. It wasn't anything that bad. I mean, it was, well, I don't want to say that it was. Her eyes darted around the bar as if looking for some method of escape, but none presented them to her. Then again, there weren't many customers here at this time of day. I figured most people came around in the actual nighttime to drink, rather than getting drunk immediately after work like I was. Wait, that was kinda sad, wasn't it? Wait, was it? Did I have to rethink my life now? Huh. Well, I'm not really sure what went wrong. It happened kinda suddenly, at least for me. One day, everything seemed to be going great and we were closer than we'd ever been before, and then the next he dumped me. I'm certain he's not a bad person, though. Not deep down, anyways. I guess it just didn't work out, that's all. She trailed off, staring intently into space. I sipped my drink carefully. I was nearly finished with this one, too, and I wanted to make sure I got all the deliciousness out of the cracks. After a few seconds, I realized she looked pretty upset. Hey, I'm sorry for bringing up bad memories. I was just curious. But I'm pretty sure it was a little bit nasty of me to ask. No, it's fine. Well, what do you think? Do you think people are inherently good? I'm more of an optimistic. I don't agree with either of these. I don't think everyone is definitely good, nor do I think not completely. I'd like to try to see the best in people. Yeah, of course, I mean, everyone's got a heart, we just mess things up. Everybody wants peace and love, really. See, that's what I think. No one wants to be a bad person. I'm glad you agree. So it must have been something I did. I just messed things up somehow. Was that really what I had meant to say? But you're definitely good. Definitely, the best. I think you may have drunk that a little too fast. Let me get you some water. Okay. She's such a nurturing character. I like Ashley a lot. She set the glass of water on the bar top, and then another customer called her way. I drank my water in a peaceful kind of buzz, and watched as Ashley mistook orders and dropped a total of 3 plates over the next half hour. Between customers, she kept gazing into space, that same distraught expression on her face. It felt like something was wrong, but I couldn't really make sense of it. Eventually, I finished my drink and was ready to head back to my room. Ashley was such a nice girl. What really happened between her and Brendan? I don't know. It's not really any of my business, though. I passed by Jihyo in the hall, carrying a large canvas. Hi. She jumped when she saw me, scrambled to hide the painting she was holding, dropped it, picked it up, rammed it into her still-closed door, clawed at the door handle until she got it open, threw the canvas inside and shut the door. I stared at her. She opened her door again and followed her canvas into the room, closing the door firmly behind her. Don't tell me she forgot to go inside the first time? Just what was on that canvas that she was so eager to hide from me? Hey, Flynn. Aussie came up to me as I was in the kitchen making some soup. She glanced at the pot and whistled. I didn't know you could cook. Can't really call this cooking. It's mostly potatoes and water. She laughed. You're rather humble. I always liked men who could cook. I didn't even know how to cook myself. Yeah, well, I tried to look less pleased than I felt, but I'm not sure if I succeeded. Would you mind if I had some? It looks really good. Sure, go ahead. Awesome, thank you. I knew you were a great guy. She winked at me and went to sit at the dining table. When the food was done, I poured her a bowl and sat down to eat with her. Thank you so much. I've got to go work on something, but I won't forget this. She up and left. So I ate my soup by myself. At least it was good soup. Today I got back my first paper from my literature class, covered in red marks. Apparently, even though they knew I was American, I was expected to use British spelling at all times. Like color, C-O-L-O-U-R. Weren't we supposed to be joined by a common language? I would have to reset the spell check on my laptop to remind me about those extra U's in words. Right, color, C-O-L-O-U-R. Well, it was all part of the English experience, I suppose. I just have to get used to it.